scheduled losses versus Team Liquid, but he was also talking about scheduled wins when they got to play Immortals and Shopify. They got 2-0'd by Shopify. They nearly just got 2-0'd by Immortals. That has to sting your pride. You want to be playing at a high level. These are guys who have won lots of championships, who have been at the very top of the game, and now are struggling to get it done against a team that lost 10 straight.
Everyone on this Dignitas team has a significant sized chip on their shoulder. Licorice, 1 year ago, first team all-pro top lane, teamless in spring split, gets this spot on Dignitas, time to redeem himself. Zven, very successful support on Cloud9, but hadn't played AD carry for years, goes to Korea, gets 1,000 LP, gets another chance to be the AD carry. Jensen goes all the way to finals with FlyQuest, but they wanted to try out quad, so Jensen found a different spot where he could start in the mid lane. And if they go into playoffs after losing to Immortals, that's going to be a downer. It will not be the end of their season either way, but you know they would love to get that win moving into playoffs.
Yeah, it definitely has to weigh on you a bit. You know, you can only take so many losses before you start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt your preparation. You know, what's not working? Is it me? Am I doing something wrong? Am I not good enough anymore? You know, all these kinds of things can be difficult. So Dignitas, important win for them. Likewise, for Immortals, playing for potential jobs in next year, as well as just a little bit of pride here. We have the Zeri first picked here. Aurora has been banned on red side alongside the Ivern and the Ashe. Ezreal, Kalista, and Ziggs banned up by Immortals. And it is going to be the Rumble here for Licorice, as well as that Corki almost guaranteed to be mid for Jensen. And you already feel like when you see Rumble that the opposing team wants the lane swap because they just don't usually like laning into it.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it is going to be a tank top and some sort of a look towards a potential lane swap.
Just lock in the Cho'Gath for us, guys. They're already freestyling with Thresh earlier on. Is there even a story behind the Cho'Gath hover that we know? I don't feel like there is. It's a Ksante.
The audible disappointment from the crowd when it goes from Cho'Gath. You know, it's desperate times when people are excited for a Cho'Gath, Jatt.
Yeah. If someone in chat knows if there's a Cho'Gath story, I'd love to hear it, but that was a very strange hover to me. I will say, though, because Team Liquid has been swapping so much on stage and because FlyQuest is now doing that against Cloud9 every game, the teams that they are practicing these swaps against are also getting better at swapping. So it's this collective virus that's spreading around the LCS. Maybe that's the wrong word, you know, collective skill.
That's good.
I'm sorry, Freudian slip from me.
Yeah.
But the lane swapping is definitely increasing, and we could very well see it here, Ksante and Rumble.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it would make a lot of sense for Immortals. We do have the Kaisa locked in here for Zven, so it's going to be playing a little bit more of a dive comp potentially. You know, you have the Rumble, you have the Kaisa, can get back into the back line. Potentially the Corki softens you up. You draft some more dive buddies in your 4-5, and then you look to see what can you make happen. The bans, though, of course, coming out, it is going to be a Zir banned out, as they don't want to deal with that from Mask. He was very effective throughout that game, even though it was in a loss. Was a low kill affair, but it was problematic for them. Maokai going to be banned out here for Spica, so taking that away, don't want to be able to have any additional engage and support for them.
Quick callback, the NACL picked Cho'Gath and smashed, so somewhere in the NACL, Cho'Gath was picked.
Okay.
So maybe a bit of a callback to that. I do want to see Dignitas have a little bit more Kaisa setup. I am not a huge fan of having no soul lane CC with the Kaisa. It can make it much more difficult to enter the back of team fights, but they'll likely just have Nautilus on 5 or 4 since it's unbanned.
This is some kind of interesting ban. So LeBlanc ban coming out, you know, potentially worried there about Mask bringing out the LeBlanc into the Corki, a bit of an aggressive matchup. And also the Poppy getting banned out. So maybe thinking that it was going to be things really cooking around and, you know, swapping things around. Maybe it's going to be a Poppy jungler or a Poppy support, or even moving Rumble out of top lane and having a Poppy top. So there are angles for all that kind of different shenanigans, but don't think we're going to see it, as the Lillia will get locked in. So we pretty much have our top side all settled now, as it is going to be Rumble, Lillia, and Corki there for Dig. They're just waiting on their support. Potentially going to look for support counter pick here, as obviously it's going to be Zen in the jungle, Ksante top. And we have to find out, is this going to be a mid lane Zeri, or is it going to be a bot lane one for Tactical?
I'd imagine that we're going to see Tactical Zeri, and we're going to get to see Mask on a mage against the Corki. So
Taliyah, yeah.
Yeah, locked in Taliyah and Rell for hard engage. And now very surprised if we don't see some hard CC here in the bottom lane, because
Yeah.
everything's up.
I mean, and also Rumble needs it, right? I really think Nautilus is such an obvious combo, with the Kaisa to be able to actually apply that plasma into the backline, give him access to fly in. Alistar would also make some sense. I always feel like Nautilus works so well with the Rumble, though. You really do want that additional lockdown. There's not a lot of CC on this team. You have the sleep. You can have the Rumble equalizer ticking during that, which can be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
You have the Alistar combo, which can kind of set you up. But it is double AP top side, double AD carry bot side for Dig. So a little bit less of a typical draft. They don't have that full TL style where there's a lot of big meatballs in the front. And over on the other side, what is more of the old school traditional comp where you have some engage, you have some tanks, you have mage in mid, and then you have a hyper-scaling AD carry in bot?
Similar to Immortals team comp last game with Mask playing more mages to close out his split. Dignitas is just building damage everywhere. I think they would prefer if this one doesn't go 40 to 45 minutes. I think they'd like to have a cleaner version of the games that they've had so far in this series and end their summer split regular season on a high note.
I also really want to just see, can Mask get aggressive on the map? Can he be moving around potentially with Armao? Try to utilize this combo of the Taliyah and the Zhao to make things happen on
All of the remaining regular season marbles.
Yeah.
Every single one.
How many are there?
All of them.
All of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will say,
none remaining.
I will say, I looked at the stats before this series, and I have called the whole thing. So we talked about in game one how Immortals is undefeated in games immediately after being eliminated, and how they are actually then winless in the game after that. We have one more stat.
What about the game after the game after the game?
Well, IMT after the game after the game after playoff elimination, it's only happened once, but they're winless.
Oh.
So we'll see. It's not as strong of a trend, but it is something.
It is a trend.
It is something,
It's
yeah.
just like we're playing for all the marbles.
That's
also,
one of the marbles.
That's one of the marbles that they're playing for.
See if they can break that streak.
We'll see if they're going to be allowed to do it. There's about 1,000 pings on the fact that Tactical is playing Barrier, so he's not playing Cleanse this game. So is potentially dangerous if you do get tagged by Spica. There's no answer to that sleep. And again, Equalizer plus sleep, that can be a pretty deadly combo. Alistar can come in over top. Freak season, baby.
Barrier buffs, baby. Tactical solution to that, don't get hit by Lillia.
Yeah,
Have
easy.
the barrier.
Just don't get hit. Don't get Alistar comboed.
Got picked at the end of last game, double down, don't need cleanse.
Yeah, exactly.
Barrier time.
Yeah, we'll see. And the barrier can be really strong, and it's definitely better, I think, in the 2v2, but it's always dangerous. And Olleh, he's playing the Rell this time. It's not like he's playing Enchanter, so it's very unlikely that we will see a Mikhails coming in from somewhere else. You can, of course, get a QSS later on, but we'll see if it does end up being relevant. Maybe it will not be a story, but there is that worry, of course, that he could get caught out by Spica. And we even heard them in the comms. I mean, Spica is pretty brutal, man, if you're listening to that as Tactical, but as Tactical gets picked, Spica's just Tactical finds a way. He finds a way, and they were actually going at him in the lobby chat as well. And Jensen was like, "Oh, I could be home by now," and you found a way to lose that game, Tactical.
Tactical did have a nice rebuttal at the very end, though. He said he was too bored farming to 6 items every game. So nice. Trying to keep the spirits up as this series concludes. Tactical and Olleh, though, successfully getting the early shove in this lane, partially because of the barrier.
And us successfully not having a lane swap. So that's a win. That's a dub. We'll put that one on the board. And it is going to be a Licorice laning, obviously, 1v1 up top against Castle. Castle had a monster game 1. Licorice did get him back with a solo kill in game 2. Not as dominant of a game, I think, as Castle had in that first one. But now we'll get to see how they look in this matchup, where it can be very difficult laning against that Rumble. It is very frustrating. Just kind of stop position on the minions, flame spitter harass. Can be pretty difficult to deal with for these tanks.
Yeah, so far he's doing just fine, though. It's just about managing the wave right and not getting in a position where he needs to shove it in but doesn't have jungle help.
And I will say, the one kind of saving grace here is when it is AP jungle and your laner is also AP, it's so easy to just rush Mercs in some early MR, and then you're never really going to die. Like, you might get poked out of lane, but you're never really going to die. It is these early overheats, though, that can be quite dangerous. Nicely played by Licorice. Back steps before the Pathmaker could come through to try to even out that trade.
Yeah, potentially Castle might just rush Kainic Rookern this game. I've seen that on a lot of Ksantes early on.
The question is always, how far do you go into MR? Because it is double AD carry that's going to kill you, right? So, you know, you do need to go Mercs very likely. You know, if you're worried about that, sometimes people just love tier 2 boots and rush towards it. You can also just go Cowl and get like tabbies later, you know, and go into armor. But it's always the question of how much MR do you get? Because especially if you're having a bad game on a tank, we've seen games, you know, where people will go full Kainic Rookern, and then they're sitting on Kainic Rookern and Mercs, and they're showing up to 5v5 and just getting absolutely blasted by double AD carry again and again and again.
Yeah, I think that's also kind of why, as I want to make sure Armao doesn't cut off this point, I think it's also why it's almost more important to have 80 AP damage spread amongst your soul laners versus just having like 2 AP soul laners and then a Vi or something. Because if Castle itemizes hard against Licorice, then all Dig has to do is send Jensen against him in the side lane, and they'll immediately have push. But if they had something like LeBlanc in the mid lane, then their entire team would be useless against Castle in the side lane.
Yeah, absolutely is a good point. And we'll see, you know, how much he decides he needs to build. And it's always that fine line, right? Because you can also go too far the other way where you're like, all right, I'm going to build barely any MR. I'm going to start stacking armor early, and then they just keep side laning against you and you're getting pounded. So it is a little bit of a delicate balance, and we'll see how he does navigate that. As mid lane, going to be a farm fest, pretty much guaranteed here when Corki is involved. We don't have any really explosive ganking junglers, so both of them just going to be farming pretty heavily. Olleh is looking to threaten, and will force that Valk out as Mask comes in.
Really big trade there by Jensen, landing everything right in the face of Mask, and now Olleh is saying, you know what, let me help you with this wave so you can go and reset.
Yeah, just trying to get him out of there. Mask dings over to 6, and Olleh will also be able to be the recipient of some of this experience, which feels pretty nice. You can see Castle now hitting 6 up the top lane.
It's taking a
all
long
the
time.
soul laners do hit it. Yeah, and Jensen has thinned the wave enough that he can actually just pull the wave if he really wants. But it would be taking quite a bit of damage himself, so he's just going to push this out. Mask, of course, has no TP. Jensen's going to see, is he doing a lazy recall? We know that he is not, so it's going to be fine. Jensen decides to just shove this out, but Mask has stayed around, and I don't think Dignitas are going to have the damage to look for a dive, as Jensen is pretty much doomed, so instead they'll just move down towards this dragon, where Immortals are in the area, but I don't think they're going to find any sort of an angle.
Yeah, I mean, this is all set up from that original trade by Dignitas, and Jensen, basically Jensen getting that huge burst of damage when Olleh and Mask were trying to set up the 2-man on him, gave Spica the window to start that dragon. Spica's had such a happy start for his Lillia in this game. He got to full clear Scuttle, which gives him the item, and now we're going to fight over Crab.
Yeah, in comes Isles. They're going to flash in. Armao is so separated from the team, though. What was that flash? He's going in by himself. Watch out, Eep, and watch out, Armao, as that's a first blood donated over to Jensen. Armao got way off the same page from his team as the rest of the squad is backing up.
Yeah, very questionable fight over the Crab. Apologies for talking through the start of that fight. I did not expect it to be happening because there was no reason at that point.
Hashtag Dignitas.
Zven, man. Come on. The man has had a tough split.
Yes, yeah. Zven wants to make it a little bit tougher. So we'll watch this one more time.
We will, and by the time we're showing this, he's already in way too deep. His team can't follow him. Tactical's beyond the back of the Dragon Pit, and Jensen gets the kill. He is loving it. He's loving this Corki start.
You know, Armao did force out the flash from Spica, and so I understand, okay, he's thinking, well, maybe I can find something more, as we can see just based on the summoners that Castle went all out and forced the flash from Licorice, so that is nice. The equalizer will be forced, but yeah, I mean, you know, maybe that play works if everyone's behind you, but again, this has been what has kind of plagued them a lot of times, and we're going to see this replay down on the bottom left. Finds the Pathmaker, looks for it all out, very likely as he overheated at a very inopportune time, and it did mean that he had the flash.
Yeah, Negatron Cloak being completed by Castle as well makes it much easier for him to take these trades. It looks like he is going towards Kainic Rookern as his first item. And Armao back on the map trying to take these grubs. We'll say, as I was mentioning earlier, Spica's still pretty happy about this game, been able to full clear, get his early AP item, and now probably contest the last grub at least.
Yeah, going to be able to steal one away, it looks like. Licorice went straight in towards the tabbies, so his damage is going to be quite delayed, but I think he's feeling pretty nervous after losing his flash there.
Yeah.
And given that it is double AD top and jungle, so wants to just be able to survive the storm here in these next couple minutes.
I think that's totally fine. The story of this game, I think, will be Jensen's Corki, and if he just is able to keep this prio in the mid lane and
stop going to look here. Can he find a Q flash and knock him back, perhaps? No. Instead, decides there's not a play. I'll just taxi back to the minion. Spica was leaving the area, so discretion, the better part of valor in this one.
They potentially could have traded flashes, but even that wouldn't have been guaranteed. So overall, the correct decision after he approached.
Yeah, and it can be awkward because if you try to trade flashes and then combo, if he just throws down the Unraveled Earth, you can get stunned as you're Wing in, so you kind of just knock him to safety. You really have to get close and kind of like Q flash and then knock him back and do some more janky combos at times. But Isles trying to put on the pressure, keep Jensen safe here in that mid lane to allow him to push it out. And as you said, Jensen, the recipient of that first blood, so more pressure on him to be a big carry threat. But honestly, Corki doesn't usually do that much early. It's kind of like, okay, he's accelerated towards 3 items where, you know, later in the game he's going to do stuff.
And he's got no call. He's not going full scaling at the moment, but Spica with a lot of control here, actually, and he's still getting good trades. Ooh, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see. Mask is poking him down, but I think he's going to be just fine. Did take a tower shot on the back end of that, but Jensen had a big HP advantage, so just meant that things kind of evened out. Both mid laners can back it off if they want, and both of them have teleport available. So Olleh trying to play for some vision, but Zven defends the pink ward, and they are able to clear out that Tri-Brush ward, so making things a little bit more spooky, though we do see that Spica was spotted on top side. Now TP's coming in. Spica's going to have to run here. Knockup comes through from Armao. Watch out, Eep in retreat as Mask is here. The sleep comes in defensively. Can Spica actually get away? Doesn't look like it. The Crescent Guard gets dropped, and Jensen's now in trouble. Has his flash. Won't have to use the Equalizer. Is dropped, and Armao just barely does not burn out. But can Licorice wrap around and find him? Doesn't look like it.
Armao with a narrow escape. I thought somebody was going to die there.
Me too.
Especially once Mask teleported in, but now Armao is going to even take the crab after all this. Very weirdly tense early game for as low action as it's been.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many low health bars here, as we're going to watch it one more time. Just kind of a battle over the crab as Spica didn't spot Armao until just now.
Yeah, Armao using that control ward, waiting for Spica to use some cooldowns on the crab. Spica needs to ult defensively on the way out, and then right here, I thought they'd be able to finish the burst on him, but either Spica or Jensen, I thought for sure we're going to go down. That W by Armao just narrowly missing.
That's so close. He couldn't have had more than 20 or 30 health.
That's crazy.
There, I think. And Jensen hadn't been able to actually finish his base because he started his base a little bit earlier, so Mask had TP'd back. Jensen had to cancel his base to be able to actually be involved in that fight, so was a little bit light on damage. Potentially, if he had finished that buy, would have been the extra damage for that kill. So, unfortunately for Dignitas, they can't finish it off. Immortals now back on the map, already on the dragon here, looking for their first dragon of the game as Dignitas, to mix things up in this series, did take the first one.
Might get a fight. Licorice has TP if they can delay this.
Yeah, they are looking like they want to posture for it. We'll see if Isles can find a good engage. Dragon getting low, so they'd have to go now if they want to do it. But the flick back on Isles, he's going to pop the ulti and just knocks Olleh away. Olleh does burn down, though, and now the teleports have arrived. Licorice is in the back line. Crescent Guard popped by Armao on the other side. Isles still hanging around in case he can find a window to do something more. But it looks like it's just Dignitas getting the one kill and taking Dragon.
2 dragons to 0, 1,300 gold up. Immortals still killless. That was a well-played little game of cat and mouse there by Dig because they had a tight timing where Licorice wanted to base and get his item before TPing because it's going to be massive for his tempo. So they needed to be close enough to Immortals that Immortals couldn't just burn all their cooldowns on the Drake, finish it, and get out. And then because they were able to do that, you see Licorice now, since he's already bought, after the fight, can go fully pushing bot wave, get the plate, and their tempo is preserved.
Yeah, he's going to feel really good about that. And they now have a pretty nice gold lead. It is Hextech Soul, so again, that premium soul that is available, especially when you're playing double AD carries. Really, really powerful. They have the 2 early dragons. That has not happened so far in this series. It has been Immortals mostly dictating the dragon game, and now they're back up here over by the Grubs. Immortals did get 2. Dignitas got 1, but it looks like they're going to be able to move up to potentially 4 here, as Armao is just on a lone mission in the area, and it would be a one-way trip if you tried to go in for it.
Yeah, Armao doesn't want to give up Krugs, but Castle certainly does, because he's not anywhere close. He wants to get that bot plate, because I think that's the correct call, actually. Immortals was not in the position to fight. Castle gets the bot plate, he's got the Cane and Grookern, and he actually wants to just fight this Rumble if he could.
Yeah, Licorice knows that they could be making a play here because all his team is topside, so that's why he drops the Equalizer and is playing so far back. And he is, of course, right. Olleh was there, and Tactical was threatening to move down. So Licorice plays it smart, drops the Equalizer, clears it out, and there won't be any sort of a look for a dive. As Jensen now pushing up top, you can see Zven is pushed in mid. Licorice sees enough people on the map that he knows, okay, I'm safe.
Yeah, veteran Rumble play right there. He kind of has to withstand this portion of the game whenever he gets stuck in a lane against the Ksante. With the way he's made the Ksante itemize, he's actually not stronger in that 1v1 against Rumble, but he'll still be pretty strong when he hits level 11 and is able to use the ult on particularly Taliyah or Zeri in the team fights. That's where he's really trying to get his power at this stage in the game.
Jensen gonna Valk in and does force Mask to retreat as he'd used his spells on the wave to just push it in. So forces the ulti out, not too big of a deal, but Mask hasn't been able to get very active on the map, honestly. Jensen, though, has no Valkyrie likely still. Does now spot that they're in the brush, so should be playing it pretty safe. Will back it up, but it is going to be very likely the Herald going over to Immortals, who do grab an objective back, and we'll see what they can get done with it.
Yeah, pretty tough to make good use of Herald when you're the team that is down in the game, but it doesn't mean it's not worth taking. In terms of Dignitas, Spica was just on a bad jungle cycle as Lillia. He wants to just keep farming his camps as soon as they respawn. Seeing that Herald get committed to, though, does give him time to make a play on the other side of the map. So he shows bot, if we're looking at the Lillia right now, and he's now looking to counter jungle the red buff.
Yeah, I guess he's going to try to take something away. You can see Tactical is in the area, so it's going to be trying to push him back. Castle's there too, so Spica has to be a bit careful. The Hex Tech gates are there, so he does get it. He is going to be able to walk it out. But Mask in trouble potentially here from Jensen as he, again, lands a nice chunk. And now Isles coming in. There's the flash combo, the flash forward from Jensen. The auto lands, and that is going to be enough. Isles gets the kill. It costs them 2 flashes and the ignite, but they can take the tower off the back of it here too.
Jensen really locked in this game, in this Taliyah matchup. It seems like he's been very confident stepping up in absolutely any trade. And then also, he's always had his team in his back pocket.
Licorice may be in trouble. He is overheated. The sleep going to come down defensively there onto Armao. How much damage can they get done? He is burning down. Armao flashes out. The TP now coming in. This one's from Jensen. He's in the back line. Isles just nearly in range, but the flashback from Tactical keeps him safe for now. Castle in the midst of everyone, but it doesn't look like he has the damage this time. He goes all out, but Zven flashes away to safety. Spica gets another. It's 5-0 for DIG.
They may have just blown this game wide open. Jensen, I don't even think had based before teleporting in, so now he's going to get to spend his 2,600 gold after this one. He is very accelerated on that Corki, and it's just going from bad to worse for Immortals. Every fight they take. Armao also having a particularly rough game. We're going to watch the beginning of this fight as Spica, let's see what happens. Is it actually Olleh that goes for the original engage?
Yeah,
I really think that Immortals is pressing a lot too hard here, because that was a Rell Xin just flying into a Lillia Rumble when their Zeri is on midway. So they start at a numbers disadvantage, basically, and then the teleport comes in and makes it worse for DIG.
I think this has really been the Immortals' struggle, is that you can understand the play is they're going to find a pick potentially here on the Isles. He doesn't have the ulti available, so he knocks someone back. He's trying to get out of there, but will get run down, very likely burning down. Tactical picks up the kill. That's a nice play for DIG. 10 seconds before, and they get the flick back onto Zven as well. A second pick onto DIG as Immortals going to be able to drop the Herald, take the Dragon. They should get the tier 1, maybe even a charge on the tier 2. That's a big series of plays here for Immortals. Tactical got a kill, got an objective bounty, and they get the Dragon. So it's going to be a second objective bounty here, and that is going to be a massive swing of gold here that kind of ricochets them right back into the game.
Just when you thought they were out, they pull it back. A ridiculous series of events here. The moment the objective bounties spawn, they get a couple of kills and 2 objective bounties, and now the game's like, whoa, hold on. That was a lot of gold. Objective bounties are coming off immediately, but not before Immortals claimed 2 of them and closed what had been, I think, a 4,500 gold difference, now closed to 2K.
Yeah, it was pretty massive, and Tactical now up 1,000 gold. So again, he is that hope, and as he often is. I mean, you have to credit him with putting himself in positions where he can potentially carry the game. He often then, does get caught out or make some mistake that kind of hurts, but he often is in these spots, and we'll see if he can make it happen this time around as Castle jumping forward, looking for Jensen, but Jensen is just pounding him.
That's it.
As he has no armor at all. This is the situation I'm talking about. When you rush Volcanic, he's building even more MR after that. You are paper against a Fed AD carry, and Dignitas has 2 of them.
Yep, and Jensen continues to be locked in this game. Immortals now send more people towards bottom lane. So that's, if you include Castle, 4 committed to bot to try and pressure this turret. I think Isles and Jensen want to contest this wave as well.
He's just hitting them around on that tower on top side, and they have that grub spawn, that Void might spawn. He can even move into the jungle, potentially take away some camps there, as we see Mask is trying to come over and respond. They stole away the enemy blue buff, they defend the tower, and Immortals definitely feeling like they are over-forcing in some of these situations, but it did work out in that last one, so we'll see what they can get done here in these next couple of minutes. Is Zven escorting in this wave mid, but Tactical will be there to defend, and Tactical just about has that second item completed.
Tactical looking to end the season on a high note. Immortals was so close to getting that 2-0 in the last game. They had the Mountain Soul, they had multiple Barons, but they couldn't quite close it out in the end. Started this game, definitely not been ideal, but you never know. Especially when it's so tricky for these players because they've grinded the whole year. They know this is going to be their last game of the year together. Very long offseason. Anything could happen. Could very well be the last game they play as a team of 5. You want to have it end on that positive note. And it feels like they were a little tilted after that Game 2 loss, but they're on the precipice right here, I feel like. This is, if the next thing goes wrong, they could lose control of the game. Notice the armor immediately bought by Castle after getting one shot by Jensen as well.
Yep.
Invest in.
That's definitely going to need that. I mean, this game was looking really toast for Immortals, but that last series of plays made a big difference. Mask, though, getting chunked down. He's going to be put to sleep here, and this is looking like a nightmare if Dignitas can get in and finish him off. Not going to be able to do it. The rest of the team plays bodyguard here as Jensen walking up from bot lane, so wants to connect with the rest of the team. We have to remember, Dignitas will be able to kill this Baron off so fast. Last time Mask was playing the Azir, he can shred through it, but Corki and Kaisa can do a very similar thing to a Baron.
Not to mention the Leandries on Lillia. So Dignitas just trying to play with pressure. They got those 4 grubs, helps their turret damage just a little bit.
I think
Zven closes the gap.
They were thinking about going over to Baron. There was some pings over on it, but just want to clear out that vision. Licorice just holding Castle down on that bottom side. He has his Leandries done now as well, and we'll see where he's going to go next here as far as the items are concerned. Mask has had a very kind of inactive game, I will say. Hasn't really been able to find any movement around the map. Largely, Immortals have been pushed in, and Taliyah really wants to get shoved and then be able to move on the map, find plays where you're cutting people off with the Weaver's Wall. Of course, you can still do that later in the game, but it can be difficult to find that correct angle.
Oh, for sure. You can see what their idea was with this team comp. Pair Taliyah with an AD jungler, even if it's not as meta. But if Armao then dies in some of the early skirmishes, the Lillia just laps him in terms of pressure. And that's one of the reasons we see so many AP junglers, because if you do try for a gank or have one thing go wrong early, you're going to fall 40, 50 CS behind. In this case, it's 70 CS behind that Lillia. And then when Xin is behind, you're going to lose all the 2v2s, so Taliyah can't move forward. And I will say, Dig has done a good job keeping Jensen ahead this game. They're consistently shadowing him. Isles, the reason we haven't seen Zven this game is because Zven's not getting anyone to help him. All that help is going towards Jensen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think rightfully, right? Because he was able to get that early kill, was already getting accelerated, has played very well with the lead. Spica, as you said, I was up over 200 CS. He has more than the enemy top laner, nearly as much as his own top laner. And now Mask in trouble. He's going to flash, but Spica is right there, and it's just into the waiting arms of him. We'll see on the other side if they can try to turn this around, as it isn't engaged, but the sleep is coming through across multiple members. Zen looking for the angle. The killer instinct is there. He gets 1, he gets 2, as Licorice and Zven combine to cook him up. But there's Castle on the top side going all out, but he just pulls them back to die. Tactical on the run, trying to get out of there. That's 3 easy kills for Dig. Baron is on the menu.
That's going to be Baron unless something absolutely inconceivable happens. Dig find yet another pick, and it's just about following around Jensen. They go to Corki, and good things happen. 7,000 gold lead now for Dignitas.
7,000 gold lead. The Dragon is available for them, and we can watch this one more time. It started out with that potential pick on a Mask.
Yeah, Mask does walk over that ward. Isles uses that window to sneak to the side, and then a very quick flash follow to get him low enough to have the sleep mark on him. And then watch Zven here. Because the sleep is the CC, he can Kaisa ult in for the execute and picks up a free Zhao afterwards. Then because the jungle mid are dead, the rest of the fight is pretty easy for Dignitas. They pick up their 3rd kill.
Yep, and that was really, really good. That killer instinct, the sleep setting it up as you called out. it also got him away from Tactical, and he was losing 1v1 against Tactical. So it was an exit as well as an entrance into an easier side of the fight. So kept him safe, gets that kill, nicely set up by Spica, and a good initial pick there from Isles, utilizing the vision well to be able to find that. Not even going to bother using the combo here on Castle, knows he'd likely have the Pathmaker ready, but now he gets too far forward, playing with fire, gets knocked back. The Pathmaker's not getting you out of that. Castle just gives him a freebie.
And Dig is going to take a lot with this because Taliyah was trying to do that gold trade top lane. That's been very sped up because it's at least an inhibitor. Jensen already on the mid wave. How much can Dig get here?
We'll see as they are posturing to push for more here, but mid lane is already there. Jensen's going to be knocking on the door of that second inhibitor. Spica playing on the side. Immortals trying to wait for Castle here. They can't really commit to a fight, so at the very least they're losing this second inhibitor. They did push out top, as you called out, so it won't be a triple inhib, but it's two super easy inhibs. And now the sleep here comes in. The equalizer over the top. Mask is burning down. Can he get out? No! He's dead. Armao's burning as well on the other side of the fight. It's all up to Tactical, but he's got no support whatsoever. Does sidestep the Swirl C, but Jensen is rocking him with the rockets, putting him lower and lower and lower. Another one hits, and Tactical has got to get back, but he can't. Zven picks him off with the snipe, and now in goes Isles. Castle is back, but Castle's just gonna die again, and it's Dig season after all. They're gonna end this summer split on a high note, putting the finishing touches on it, picking up kill after kill after kill on the door to Immortals Nexus. Dignitas claim this series from the jaws of defeat. They're gonna take a little bit to enjoy it, but they will finish it off at the end of the day. The Nexus falls, and Dignitas takes this one 2-1 and heads into playoff with side selection advantage.
Dig season just arrived a little bit later than we expected. They have the 25-minute win here in this final game, 15 kills to 3. Solid performance all around. I think Jensen, the standout player in this game 3 for me. Definitely a disappointing end for this Immortals team that we thought were going to get the 2-0.
Yep, we're going to be joining Raz, though, on stage for an interview.